Welcome to the European Union delegation in Mogadishu. I'm the European Union Ambassador. My name is Tiina Intelmann. Today we are celebrating Human Rights Day. It is a very important day all over the world, and it is the anniversary of the Human Rights Declaration, Universal Human Rights Declaration, that was adopted at the United Nations in 1948. And today I am joined by Fortuna Dan, who is the Executive Director of Elman Peace Center. Welcome, Fortuna, to the European Union delegation in Mogadishu.
Thank you very much.
Would you like some tea?
Please, yes.
I'm not sure that it is the best Somali tea.
That's okay.
But we try.
Yeah.
We try our best to learn Somali tradition and to enjoy the best that you have in Somalia.
Thank you.
So, Fortuna, this is now the Human Rights Day. How did you come to the human rights and tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes. My name is Fortuna Dan, and I work Elman Peace and Human Rights. So we involved Elman. It's for a long time, because Elman was my husband, and he got assassinated because the work he was doing it. So we started the child soldiers, which we saw the rights for the child, because fighting and people taking advantage and using and not knowing what they're fighting for. That's why we started for the child soldiers, and working with child soldiers. And human rights, it gives us to see the women, and then also we start the women for the sexual abuse and what the women going through. So we start the first crisis center in Mogadishu. So since that, we have been doing this kind of work. So it's always to see how can we help, what kind of person we can help. And it has been many years, and it's as an organization we started last few years, but before that we're using our money to help the people we can help. So that's why we are well known in Somalia, and the idea we are doing it and why we were different than others, and also we're welcome everywhere in Somalia, which gives us a great working with them.
And how many years have you been working on these issues now?
We started working with the youth. We started 1992, but women we started in 2010. Because before that we are working on child soldiers and human rights. So we saw a lot of women who was struggling and suffering, and then we started advocating for women. And it's advocacy works in Somalia, and that's why we have it today, Ministry of Women and Human Rights. And it's not about do we have the problem. It's not in denial anymore, but how can we to solve it? How can we prevent it? How can we change it? That is the issue we are going. And having this new president that we have now, it seems a lot of hope there. So we are hoping things change.
And do you think that things have gotten better since you started your advocacy and your work? Do you think that overall the country and people have moved to a better place?
The one thing I recognized, it's security and all that. We always have the challenge, but the one thing I really recognized is the women issue. And the women issue is always under there. It wasn't coming out, no one was talking about it. So as an advocacy and doing all the organizations doing the same thing we're doing it shows a lot, and it changed locally and internationally. And that's why we have so many support as a women programs.
But can you tell me some of the challenges that you have faced or you are facing right now? How do you, it cannot be a very easy work that you are doing.
No, Absolutely, it's not easy. The work we do is very challenging and it's very risky. And at the same time, we do this work because we see the change. We see people who we helping are getting better. It doesn't have to be millions of people, but it has to be slowly few people who can see the change and their life is changed. So it's very challenging, and the challenge we chose to do it.
Do you think it would be interesting for the viewers who are looking at our program to listen to some stories from ordinary people and to see what they think about human rights?
Of course. My question is, why it's so important the European to have a human rights and to celebrate it every day? Why it's so important?
Well, the European Union is a global actor. So we view things in a broader sense, and the Human Rights Declaration is one of the main documents establishing the foundation of human rights. You know, it was in 1948, almost 100 years ago. It's still very relevant. And when you look at what is written there, even the first article, it says all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. It's a very powerful thing. So we feel that really it should be carried forward. It should be implemented, and that really everybody is born free and equal in dignity. Human dignity is something that is very, very important for the European Union, and it's also the kind of overarching topic in all that we're doing. So that's why, and you know, you celebrate the Human Rights Day every year to remind ourselves and to remind to others what we stand for.
Yes. How do you see Somali human rights?
Well, definitely there's a lot of challenge here. You are living in conditions of war, and here in European Union delegation sometimes we tend to forget what it is like in villages, what it is even like in downtown Mogadishu. When you are living in war and in fear, the enjoyment of human rights cannot happen. It just cannot happen. So we need to work together to bring about peace and also work on other aspects of human rights. So it is a challenge, but thanks to you, people like you who are doing advocacy and who are very strong in these issues, I think we will manage. We will manage.
Thank you. Before you came to Ambassador for European Union, what was your experience to work as a human rights?
Yes. Well, first of all, let me say that I grew up in a country where human rights were not guaranteed; they were not observed. So that gives a very personal perspective to everything that you do throughout your life, right? So I spent many years at the United Nations. So when you are at the United Nations, that exposes you to a lot of misery and suffering, because this is essentially what you want to do at the UN. You want to take care of all problems of the world, and to take care of them, to solve them. They also come to you, and you also learn about them. Absolutely. So it's also a very personal experience, and I happen to have an opportunity to travel quite extensively to see situations in Democratic Republic of Congo, for instance, in other places. I worked in Liberia, also saw the aftermath of war, how people were had to live with the consequences, how people were maimed. So all of that gives a very personal touch to all that we do, and also I think increases the commitment to Somalia and to what is happening here.
Thank you. I hope we can benefit all your experience in Somalia.
And also we have the opportunity as the European Union also to provide funds for the advocacy that you are doing, but also to provide funds through different projects to help advance human rights. So maybe tell me, is one of the places where the European Union is also involved is supporting the Elman Peace Center. Could you maybe tell me what have you been able to do more because you get this support from the European Union?
Yes, we work with the European Union and we really appreciate that. And we work youth in Somalia, different regions, to make it easier, the work they do in it, and also to have the ways, the thinking of they wanted to reach. You know, Somalia, 70% is young, under 35. And a lot of people, they don't have that much experience. They're not having they want to change and they're really working hard, but at the same time, they don't have the opportunity to do what they wanted to do. And that's where we come in. So we help them, support them to their ideas and how they're gonna wanted to be part of the change in Somalia. And really, we have a really great youth who really want to be part of the change, and we support them, we guide them, and to see what their idea, instead of us telling them what to do. We're not telling them, we're supporting them. We're getting European Union also support. Without the support for European Union, we wouldn't support them. And so it's always connected, and that's really we appreciate, and the work we're doing, and we're satisfied with them.
Good. I had the opportunity to visit your people in Puntland just a few days ago, and we had an interaction with women activists, also with the young people, who said that a lot of discussion is happening also at the level of universities and in other gatherings, because change is also about the change of mind, the change of mentality. Peace doesn't come by itself, it doesn't descend upon you. It comes through people and through the understanding that life can be lived in a different way, peacefully, observing each other's views and solving problems through dialogue.
Yes.
So I really hope that the European Union contribution helps you, and we are of course committed to continue working together with you and supporting with you.
Thank you very much. I really wanted to ask another question. I said the first time I'm going to ask you one question, but it seems like I'm getting more and more. So the one I wanted to ask you, the work they do, European Union in Somalia, how do you see it, and how do you see the change that comes up with it? Can you explain a little bit more?
As European Union, we are involved virtually in all spheres of life in Somalia. And sometimes when you see international actors, for instance, doing projects, behind is the European Union funding. So we are virtually everywhere. But I want to tell you that even in activities like training the Somali army, because we have been training the Somali army and giving equipment to them, even there, for the soldiers, one part is human rights training. So before they go to the battlefield, we give them some human rights training also. We are involved with police and other security actors, but there is always a human rights component. But it doesn't, of course, stop there. We have very broad education projects to give education to children and to give knowledge how to work. It's vocational training, for instance. Just recently, I mentioned that I went to Puntland. There again, we opened another education project through which 60,000 people, children, are going to benefit. It's a lot that we're doing. We understand that change takes time. As European Union Ambassador, I am here always and all of us are here for a very limited period of time. But people who have a longer perspective, they say that change is visible. You know, those who have been 10 years ago, they come back, they say change is visible. So we are all over the place. We also try to work on infrastructure. We know that infrastructure is an issue here in Somalia because of course security and a lot of infrastructure gets destroyed. We try to help you with that also, but really peace, human rights, human dignity, this is the core. It has to come, and then the road comes at a certain point.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true. It's not easy always.
Yes.
But keep trying, it is important.
Yes, it's not easy. It's not easy. But Fatun, it has been very, very nice to talk to you, and I wish you all the best in your activities. I wish all the best to Elman Center, and we all work for Somalia, and as the European Union, we want to accompany the Somali people to a better future. Maybe to illustrate what we have been discussing and the broader engagement of the European Union, let's watch a video about an EU Somali project.
Thank you very much. And we really appreciate your time talking about Somalia and doing about it. So it's we all trying to better life in Somalia, and that's what we're hoping to see in future.
Indeed. Thank you so much.